The 2020 NBA All-Star starters have been announced, which means it is now time to talk about who will make the team as a reserve. What is going on, y'all? 5 Sports Talk back at it with another video talking, of course, some NBA, and here to talk about the All-Star game, which is happening, of course, in Chicago this year, my hometown. So very happy about that. And so let's talk about who is going to make the All-Star team. Obviously, like I mentioned, the starters have already been announced, and I will tell you who those starters were in case you have not seen it or heard it yet. And then I will predict for you guys who I believe will make the team as a reserve. So we've got a bunch of more spots left on the bench, and this is really the hard part. The starters, I mean, that's easy. We know the locks, really, but the bench, this is where it comes down to. So before I get started, guys, if you're new to the channel, go ahead and subscribe. Helps me out a lot when you support the channel. Make sure to follow me on all my social media platforms, my Twitter, Instagram, links down below and on the screen for all of that. So with that being said, once you've done all that, folks, let's get into it. Let's get started. So we'll, of course, start with the All-Star starter. So who has made the All-Star team as a starter? And here I have in front of you, hopefully you guys can see it, the starters for the West and the East. Now, technically, there is no West or East. There's obviously captains, and these guys can obviously be on different teams. But just for the purposes of the video and how voting is done, it just makes more sense to say West and East. But again, they could be on the same teams, different teams. It's captain format. Giannis and LeBron are captains, so they will pick the team. So we'll start with the West. Technically, we got Luka, Harden, LeBron, AD, and Kawhi. Absolutely no issues here. Every single one of these guys is who should be here. It's an absolute lot. Like, there is nobody that should even be in consideration to replace any of these 5 guys. It's not close. So the West, absolutely got it right. Now let's look at the East. Trae Young, Kemba Walker, Giannis Antetokounmpo, Pascal Siakam, and Joel Embiid. I see 2 for sure locks and potentially 3. Hope you guys know who I'm referring to. Talking about Giannis, obviously, who's a lock, and Joel Embiid. Pascal Siakam had a fantastic has had a fantastic season, I should say. He got hurt, but it's fine. He does deserve it too, okay? Trae Young and Kemba Walker kind of surprised me. Now, I did have both of these guys on my All-Star roster when I was, writing down my All-Star picks, but I was not expecting both of them to be starters because there's a guy here that is missing that absolutely deserves to be a starter, and that is Jimmy G. Buckets. Jimmy Butler of the Miami Heat. He should have been an all-star starter. Point blank, period. They got it wrong here. I know this is the fan voting, and this was just flat out wrong. Jimmy Butler should have started either over Kemba or Trae Young. I'm not saying neither of these guys are all-stars. They are. I have both of them on my all-star roster. But Jimmy Butler deserves the starting spot over one of them. Preferably to me over Kemba Walker because Trae Young's having a better season. But could have been either. I wouldn't have minded. But Jimmy Butler absolutely deserved to be a starter. So I'm now you know at least one of the players that is for sure going to be on the reserve spot for the East, which is Jimmy Butler. So let's get into, obviously, now the role players, the reserve players for both sides. So again, I'm just going to do East-West, but remember, it can literally be anybody on any team, okay? Giannis and LeBron will pick guys. But just to make it easier, I'm doing East-West. So since we already know in the East, I've already said Jimmy Butler should have been a starter, so he's absolutely going to make a reserve role. Let's start with the East, and again, Jimmy Butler. So we've got basically 7 spots, okay, on the bench as a reserve role, and Jimmy Butler is going to be one of them. So now we have 6 spots, okay? And again, do I have to explain the Jimmy Butler pick? The Miami Heat are one of the best teams in the NBA. Jimmy Butler's averaging about 20 points, 6 rebounds, 7 assists, 7 rebounds, 6 assists a game. He has been incredible for the Heat. I myself did not see the Heat being this good. I thought they'd be competing for like an 8 seed. I thought, okay, Jimmy Butler's good, but do they really have enough? And folks, they have really impressed me. So Jimmy Butler absolutely deserves it. And another guy on his team deserves it as well. A first-time All-Star for me, which is Bam Adebayo of the Miami Heat. And here's the thing about Bam. I feel really good about this one because before the NBA season started, I did my award predictions like I always do. And I said my most improved player for this upcoming season is Bam Adebayo, who has been a force for the Heat after Hassan Whiteside left for Portland Trailblazers. I mean, it's been a seamless transition, and Bam, he's a better player to me than Whiteside. Whiteside puts up better numbers, but Bam has more of an impact, averaging 16 points, 10 rebounds, 1.2 steals, 1.2 blocks. He does it all. Like, literally, he does it all on both the offensive and defense side of the ball. He's the anchor for the Miami Heat down low, and he's just been a force. So I absolutely think Bam Adebayo deserves it. He could have potentially started over Siakam. Again, that's just how good of a season he's having. Okay, let's move on to another few of my locks that I have here. Ben Simmons, I think he absolutely deserves it. Yeah, I don't want to do the three-point jokes, folks. Listen, there's more to basketball than shooting threes, averaging 16, 8, and 8 this year. Yeah, the Sixers have been a little underwhelming with the record, but it's no fault of one Ben Simmons, who has been absolutely spectacular. Okay, so he deserves it. Another first-time All-Star for me is Domantas Sabonis. Yes, if you don't watch Indiana Pacers basketball, you need to just for this reason. Sabonis is a monster. He is Mr. Consistency, averaging 18 points and 13 rebounds. The Pacers gave him a fat contract extension this past offseason. A lot of people doubted it. I did not, because I know how good Sabonis is. This man can ball. He's a ferocious rebounder, one of the most underrated rebounders in the NBA. And they've been able to be relatively good thus far without their best player, Victor Oladipo, because of Sabonis. So I think he absolutely deserves it. We'll go on to my next guy, who I have in Andre Drummond. Okay, again, a lot of people might think Drummond doesn't deserve this year because the Pistons don't have a great record. Let's get one thing out of the way with the record, okay? All-star selections are not team accomplishments, okay? They're individual accomplishments, but here is where I draw the line. If your team record is good, it can only help you. But if your team record is bad, I don't think that is a big negative, okay? Because to me, like I said, it is an individual accomplishment. It's not a team accomplishment. Along those same lines, I will say this. Certain awards, the criteria is different. Like MVP, you need team success absolutely to win that award. But with all-star selections, folks, it's tricky. Like Rookie of the Year is another award. You don't need team success as much. You just need to put up the numbers. And to me, all-star is kind of the same thing. I need the numbers. I need it. Like, folks are saying Trae Young doesn't deserve to be a starter. Now, again, I've said starters, maybe not. But does he deserve to be an all-star? Absolutely. Trae Young is averaging 29 points per game, folks. I don't care who you are. 29 points per game makes you an all-star. Point blank, period. Okay, so to back to Andre Drummond, man's leading the league in rebounds. What more can I say? He's averaging about 17 points, 15 rebounds a game. Blake Griffin's been out most of the year, and now he's pretty much out for the rest of the season. Andre Drummond and Derrick Rose is really all the Pistons have, and Drummond's been a beast, leading the league in rebounds. To me, he's an all-star, okay? Let's move on to another guy on a losing team, but again, he's putting up numbers. Bradley Beal, folks, 28 points per game, 6 rebounds, 4 assists. He's literally the only thing that makes the Wizards go. The Wizards would literally have single-digit wins if it wasn't for Bradley Beal. That's how spectacular he's been. And again, I don't hold it against him that his team record isn't good, because his team isn't very good, okay? Again, with these guys, Andre Drummond, who else does he have on his team besides Derrick Rose? Nobody else. Bradley Beal, who else does he have on his team? A bunch of guys that are like journeymen. You've got guys like Troy Brown, Ish Smith. I mean, folks, these aren't all-star players that he's playing with, okay? So we've got basically one spot left. This was tough. I might be a little biased here, but I'm doing it. I'm going Zach LaVine. Again, same argument I've been making for Drummond and Beal with the lack of team success. Zach LaVine's averaging 25 points per game. He's averaging 25, 4 and 4, 4 rebounds, and approximately 4 assists a game. And with that, I believe those numbers are impressive enough for him to get into the All-Star game. Now, as far as the game being in Chicago, and that's the reason why he should be in, no, I don't think that's, even like 10% of the reason. To me, it's mainly because of his production, folks. I mean, 25 points per game. I told you guys, Zach LaVine's very capable of averaging this, and he had a slow start to the season, but he finally was able to get into another gear and kick it up a notch. He's literally the only offense on the Chicago Bulls. Lauri Markkanen, for better or worse, in terms of whose fault it is, has gone into the tank, hasn't been really the same player that we expected him to be. And outside of that, I mean, you don't have very many guys that can score on the Chicago Bulls team. So Zach LaVine has been the only offense. And to me, he's putting up the numbers. I think he's 13th in the NBA in scoring. I think Zach LaVine deserves it, the last spot on the Eastern Conference All-Star roster. Now let's move on to the Western Conference. Again, just saying West. It's not how it's going to be, but it's just easier. And I'll start with the locks. I shouldn't have to explain these picks. So again, if I have to explain these picks, you need to watch basketball more. Or you clearly, in the words of Stephen A. Smith, you just got caught. You don't know basketball. Okay, Damian Lillard, duh. Okay, he's been phenomenal, averaging 28 points per game this year. He's a lock. Okay. Brandon Ingram. I think Brandon Ingram's a lock. He's phenomenal this year. I did not see this coming from Brandon Ingram. I tweeted about this. By the way, go follow me on Twitter. I said, no way did I think Brandon Ingram at the start of the year was able to sustain the level of play that he had been performing at. Folks, he's averaging 25 points per game, 6 rebounds, 4 assists. He's been phenomenal for the New Orleans Pelicans. He's a lock to me. Yes, I'm willing to say Brandon Ingram is a lock. That's how impressive he's been. Nikola Jokic, another lock to me, averaging 20, 10, and 6 assists, to do it all. Big man for the Denver Nuggets. Let's move on now. These aren't necessarily locks, but again, they're very close. And to me, they're on my roster. I'm taking Russell Westbrook. I know a lot of people, I've seen a couple of NBA writers leave him off of their ballot, folks. Russell Westbrook's still averaging 25, 7, and 8. I don't know why people think like he's fallen off or something. Yeah, his production took a dip alongside James Harden, who literally has the highest usage in the NBA, so you expect that. But 25, 7, and 8 is still impressive. I'll take it. So Westbrook's an all-star to me still. Devin Booker, yeah, put him in, folks. 26, 6, and 4. The Suns have been fairly good this season. They've been competitive. Monty Williams has made all the difference as a coach. And Devin Booker, again, leading the pack with 26 points per game for that Phoenix Suns team, so love that. Rudy Gobert, yes, I will gladly put Rudy Gobert in the All-Star game. He is a second in the league in rebounds, averaging 14.5 a game, right behind Andre Drummond, averaging about 15 points per game. So he's giving you a monster double-double with about 2 blocks a game. So yeah, still in contention for Defensive Player of the Year, one of the best defensive players, the anchor for the Utah Jazz. Put Rudy Gobert in the All-Star game. And now finally, we've got one spot left, and here is where I was torn. I have 2 guys, Donovan Mitchell and Chris Paul. I don't care who gets in. Both are deserving. Mitchell's averaging like 24 points per game. Chris Paul's been phenomenal. And the Oklahoma City Thunder are a playoff team if the playoffs started today. Nobody expected that, okay? I literally thought the Thunder were rebuilding, and literally they're like a 5 seed. So both are deserving. I don't mind who gets in. Right now, if you put a gun to my head, I'll put in Donovan Mitchell. But again, I don't mind if Chris Paul gets in. So there you have it. That's my roster for the East and West All-Star Reserve. So let me know if you guys agree, disagree. Who do you guys have that I did not have? Who do you guys have that I should have? Like, let me know down below in the comments, folks. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a big thumbs up. Please make sure to subscribe. As always, thanks for watching.